Hey, it's Big Game James McCarty and Jace Denman. The National Championship game just concluded. This is another Gate City Bank Frisco fan camp. South Dakota State winning their first and elusive National Championship, taking down the Bison 45-21. What are your takeaways from this game, Jace?
I think it was just an overall very impressive victory by South Dakota State. They came out on that opening drive, got the opening touchdown, and quite honestly didn't really look back. They scored on 5 of their first 6 drives, got a field goal at the end of the half. I really said that when they scored that last touchdown in the first half that was probably the dagger. They came out to start the second half, got another one. They allowed NDSU in that third quarter, James, to get a touchdown, but it took them over half the quarter to do that. And by the time they did that and had a chance to get the ball back, you're into the fourth quarter. You didn't have much time left. So, valiant effort by an NDSU team that obviously a lot of people are going to talk about the key injuries. Gindorf out for the majority of the season. Obviously Hunter Lepke out as well. But you know what? I don't think today it would have necessarily mattered on the final score. It might have been a much closer game. I mean, you and I both picked a 3-point game. It ends up a 24-point decisive victory for NDSU. So I'm a little bit surprised by the result on the field, but there was no question about who was going to win this game, probably from about the second quarter on.
And the Jackrabbits, that really explosive 24-point second quarter was a difference maker. Mark Gronowski being the MVP of what was this game. 14 of 21 passing, 223 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had a long touchdown run as well, over 40 yards. I mean, just was able to do really anything he wanted today. Amar Johnson had over 100 yards rushing. Isaiah Davis over 100 yards rushing. The Jacks were just able to get it done offensively. Defensively, picking off Cam Miller late in the second half a pair of times. It was a really good performance from them. You saw a couple different guys really coming up big for North Dakota State, but it just wasn't enough. As you saw, the Jackrabbits, they were just a team of destiny all season long.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta give Cam Miller credit. He rebounded from that game in the semifinals with only 1 completion. He had a good day today. He had a couple touchdowns, unfortunately, a couple interceptions as well. Zach Mathis, I think, had his best game of the entire season today. He was a real big factor in the passing game, but unfortunately, that's not normally what NDSU wants to do. They want to ground and pound and wear you out. And unfortunately, from early on in that second quarter, they were in catch-up mode the rest of the game, and they were really out of their game plan. So obviously, a credit to SDSU. The defense played well, forced at least 3 turnovers. Offense had some big plays, a lot of big runs, like you said, 2 running backs over 100 yards apiece. And I tell you what, like I said, there was not really much doubt about who was going to win this game today. So congrats to SDSU.
Like you said, Cam Miller finished 18 of 29 passing for 260 yards and 2 touchdowns, led the team in rushing with 13 carries for 64 yards. Zach Mathis, 7 receptions, 123 yards. But as we're wrapping up, what does this national championship mean to not just Brookings, but maybe the state of South Dakota and all of Jackrabbit country?
Well, I think for the Jackrabbits, it's kind of that big weight off your shoulders. You haven't been able to come up and finish the deal when it comes to your postseason. You lost last year in the semifinals. You lost in the semifinals a few years ago to JMU. You haven't been able to get over that hump. So now you've gotten to the top of the mountain finally. You've beat your arch rival not once, but twice in one season. You've got to take home the trophy, and now we'll see if they can do it all again next year, because a lot of the players that were out there today making big plays, they're still technically eligible to come back next year. So we'll see how many decide to come back and try and do it again for the South Dakota State Jackrabbits.
The Jacks have beat the Bison 4 straight times. The most impressive one and the most important one was right here in Frisco. You see behind us as they're celebrating. So you know what, 45-21. Congratulations to South Dakota State on that elusive national championship. A phenomenal season for them, getting the job done, and well-deserved for head coach John Stagelmeyer in year 26 with the Jacks. This was another Gate City Bank Frisco fan camp.